Do high taxes make us happier? One author suggests that they do. I'm going to talk about this from the perspective of a nomad capitalist, and I want you to comment below. I'm Andrew Henderson, and I like to read a lot of books. I like to do a lot of research, not only on the nomad capitalist stuff, but I like to do a lot of personal development reading. I like to see what people are doing in other parts of the world. And I'm very fascinated by what makes people happy. Because I think a big part of this nomad capitalist stuff is the human element. It's one thing to say I want to keep more of my own money, but if you're going to be miserable doing that, it's not going to work. So I was reading a book recently called Lykke, L-Y-K-K-E. And it was written by a Danish guy who has lived in Denmark, and very interesting book talking about how the Danish are happy. I'm not convinced they're the happiest people in the world, but he's saying, you know what? We get along as a society, and even though we're paying 55 or 60% of our income in tax, not only are we happy doing that, but we would be unhappy if we weren't. So I like this guy's book, and he actually has another book that I find very interesting as well. But the challenge I find is that almost instantly in this book, it becomes political. It becomes, if you don't want to pay high taxes, then you're probably going to be miserable in life. And he says, oh, all the happy countries are high tax. Now we can discuss the methodology of what makes a country happy. I think certainly you can go to countries like the Philippines, you can go to Malaysia. These are relatively tax-friendly countries. And people there are pretty happy too. They may not have as much, but they're relatively happy people. But what stood out to me is the idea that while happiness is important, we all get to define our own happiness. I can tell you as someone who went from paying 43% to around 1% and doing that legally, that I feel a lot more comfortable. I feel a lot less anxious. I feel a lot more comfortable investing and hiring more people and empowering them. I give more money, I support more causes, and I do so feeling a lot more comfortable than I did when I was paying all that money to the government. A lot of people, I think, look at paying that high taxes, oh, that's all I have to do for society. But what we know is that the government is probably the worst user of money anywhere in the world. They spend and spend and spend and get very little result. And so if I take, let's say, 5% of my income and give it to causes that are well run and that support the things that I care about, I'll bet that it probably has the same effect of when I paid 43% and just gave it to the US government, or in your case, to the IRS, the ATO, whomever it may be. But the real issue when it comes to are people in high tax countries, in Europe in particular, more happy is, are they getting a good value? Okay? When people come to me and they say, hey, Andrew, I'm paying $100,000 in tax. I'm paying $200,000. I'm paying $500,000 in tax. I'll ask them one question. Is that comfortable for you? How do you feel about that? How does that make you feel? You know, it's almost weird for some people to say, well, this is a financial issue. It's not about how I feel. But in reality, it is. I mean, as I always say, there are 40 million people living in California who apparently are all too happy to pay high taxes. There are people in Denmark, like this author, who apparently are all too happy to give more than half of their income to the government. So for them, apparently it is comfortable. It's perfectly acceptable. And what I think it comes down to is the idea that for some people, it's a pretty good deal. You give half your money and they're going to take care of you when you stub your toe or when you have to get a surgery. They're going to send you to school. They're going to pay for your university. They're going to give you unemployment. When you have a child, they're going to give you time off. It's kind of this cradle to grave support. And that's a great deal if you're making 50,000 euros a year. Because, hey, you know, you look at what people in the US are paying for health insurance at that level, it's not cheap. People are really struggling. So to be able to get university for free and not have student loans, to be able to get, never have medical debt, never have to worry about giving birth to a child and having to go bankrupt. Yeah, it sounds pretty good. But what happens when you're that 6 or 7 figure or even 8 figure entrepreneur and you're saying, hey, I'm making $500,000 a year and I'm giving away 45% of it? Now it becomes a lot less better deal. What this author has suggested is that everyone who's making a lot of money should be happy as part of this sense of community to pay for that person's university or that person's medical care. And what we at Nomad Capitalist believe is, hey, we should all take care of ourselves. And yes, we should help other people. But that the government does a pretty bad job of that, actually. And so the question is it comfortable for you to be paying so much for what you get in return? In the US, you get practically nothing. They don't give you university. They don't give you health insurance. They give you nothing. So for the US, it's always a bad deal. But for everyone else, is it a good deal? If you're at that $500,000 level, that $1 million level, it's probably a terrible deal. You could go somewhere else. You could go to live in Malaysia. You could go to live in Colombia or Mexico or any other, Serbia, Malta, any country. Pick any country where you can go and live a more tax-optimized lifestyle. Surely you can buy your own high-quality health insurance or even treat yourself at hospitals like Prince Court, Malaysia, where I go. Surely you can send your kids to any university with the money that you've saved. So the question here is, do we owe society? And I think, sure, it's nice to help people out, and I like to do that. But do we owe them $500,000 of our $1 million income? When is it too much? And I think what people that we meet are starting to understand is that I want to get a value. I want to get a good return on my money. People sometimes come to me and say, Andrew, you know what? I don't want to pay zero. It's okay to pay something, but not 30, 40, 50, 60%. There has to be a limit because I'm paying more than this guy and the next 10 guys after him. Where is the line? And I think that for me and for many people I work with, they're able to be happier, feel more comfortable, feel just a lot better in their own skin when they keep, if they make it $500,000, now they're keeping an extra $200,000. There's a lot you can do with that to grow your company, to do more good. If you believe that you're doing good with your business, keeping more of that money is the best thing that you can do. I want to know what you think about this. Does paying higher taxes make us happier? Comment below. People have said, hey, it's the price we pay for civilization, high taxes, yet you go to Singapore where plenty of people pay zero tax because all their investments are outside of the country. Singapore, one of the most civilized places in the world. Dubai, pretty civilized place, at least in the way that you're going to live there. A lot of places, Panama, all these countries that are going to let you live there tax-free, pretty civilized. Comment below, what do you think about this? Do high taxes make us happier? I say no. I'm Andrew Henderson, and if you're looking for a way to legally reduce your taxes, build your freedom, and create wealth faster as a global citizen, then you've come to the right place. I want you to do 3 things right now. Number 1, click the button to subscribe to our channel. Make sure to get notifications so you never miss a new video. Number 2, get a copy of our #1 best-selling book, Nomad Capitalist, on Amazon and learn all the dozens of benefits of our lifestyle. And number 3, if you're already a 6- or 7-figure entrepreneur and you want to put these strategies in place, go to nomadcapitalist.com and find out how to get some help.